Today on Rappler. Senator Ping Lacson says only 40% of flood control funds are used for actual implementation. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. eyes economic sabotage cases against contractors of big ghost flood control projects. Some overseas Filipino workers go to Guam for divorce. A new Nigerian recruit of the University of the Philippines men's basketball team died after collapsing during training. And SB 1918 wins the Billboard Fan Army Face-Off for the third time in a row. Senator Ping Lacson reveals that only 40% of the country's flood control funds go to actual implementation and that most of the funds are lost to corruption in a privileged speech delivered on Wednesday, August 20. He says he obtained the information through his office's research supported by information from insiders, the Department of Public Works and Highways and contractors, as well as open sources, including information sent to Malacanang Sumbong sa Pangulo website. He says the biggest share goes to the funder or the project proponent who is a politician.
Mr. President, meron pa kayong tinatawag na passing through or parking fee na aabot sa katumbas na 5 to 6% ng pondo. Ito ang itinuturing na royalty, ang tawag sa lagay na ibinibigay sa politikong may kontrol sa distrito kung saan i-implementa o itatayo ang proyekto. Lo and behold, Mr. President, 20 to 25% ang karaniwang napupunta sa funder o project proponent na politiko.
Lacson also bared substandard and ghost flood control projects in parts of Luzon, including Pampanga, La Union, Oriental Mindoro, and Bulacan, as well as a new style of corruption in flood control projects that involves repeated annual funding for an already completed structure. President Marcos named the top 15 contractors of the government's flood control projects on August 11, while the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee began its probe on Tuesday, August 19. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. says that his government is eyeing, quote, economic sabotage cases against contractors of big flood control projects. This in response to questions from the media while he was visiting Purok 4, Barangay Piel in Baliwag, Bulacan, where he verified a citizen's complaint about a non-existent but fully paid for 55 million peso reinforced concrete riverwall project. When asked about the special fraud audit of the Commission on Audit on Flood Control Projects in Bulacan, Marcos said the ghost project in Baliwag is, quote, an example of falsification because it was reported as completed. Marcos says he went to Barangay Piel acting on a report his office received through his citizens' complaint website Sumbong sa Pangulo. The 220-meter project cost the government around 55 million pesos. Marcos says as of June, the report stated that it was 100% complete and also fully paid.
Wala kaming makita na kahit isang hollow block, isang ng simento, walang equipment dito. Lahat itong project na ito, ghost project. Walang ginawa na trabaho dito. I'm not disappointed, I'm angry.
Some Filipinos find a way to avail of divorce abroad easily. Family law expert Katrina Legarda reveals some overseas Filipino workers go to Guam for divorce, a separation that could be recognized in the Philippines later on. Legarda says they discovered that Guam only has a 7-day residence requirement and you can file a divorce.
They come back to this country having obtained the divorce in Guam, and the only requirement there is that the Filipino spouse here has to sign an agreement that they are not objecting to the separation of property and the custody and support of the children.
There is no divorce in the Philippines, only a declaration of nullity of marriage and annulment. However, the country recognizes divorce obtained in another country. Under the family code, Filipinos previously married to foreigners can ask Philippine courts to recognize their foreign divorce. Legarda served as amicus curiae, or friend of the court, in oral arguments before the Supreme Court that involves a Filipino who became a dual citizen and got a divorce while living abroad. The unnamed petitioner sought his divorce to be acknowledged locally, but a Nueva Ecija court junked his petition. Thus, the case reached the High Court. Israel Ozamudiame Friday, the new Nigerian recruit of the University of the Philippines men's basketball team, dies after collapsing during training on Tuesday, August 19. He was 19 years old. The UP Office of Athletics and Sports Development says he was immediately brought to a nearby hospital, but died despite efforts to revive him. UP adds, the cause of death is yet to be determined. Friday, a 6'10" center, recently transferred to UP from CEU. UP says it is already, quote, in close contact with his family and is extending its full support during this difficult time. The death of Friday comes just 2 months after National University girls basketball's Ashlyn Abong, who died after collapsing in practice. She was 18. SB 19's 18 wins the Billboard Fan Army Face-Off for the 3rd time in a row. Billboard announces Wednesday, August 20, the fandom of the P-pop boy group beat out American pop singer Selena Gomez's Selenators in the finals to clinch the title. Billboard writes, each of the acts that SB 19 squared off against this year has topped the Billboard Hot 100. SB 19 has yet to achieve that milestone, but their hit Damn reached number 4 on the Billboard Philippines Hot 100 in March. 18 is now tied with K-pop groups Tiara Queens in terms of the number of times winning the Fan Army Face-Off. 18 is now the only fandom of a Filipino music act having won the competition. It first won in 2023 and proceeded to pull off a landslide win in 2024. Held since 2014, Billboard's Fan Army Face-Off is an annual voting tilt where fandoms of artists across the world go head-to-head to determine which fan army is the strongest. And that's today's wrap. I'm Kara Oliver. Thank you for watching. Click the link below for the full story. Follow us on Raptor's YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok.